good morning, good afternoon, or good night to those following along with our Royalton Memorial story time. Before I get started this week, I wanted to give everyone a heads up that our summer reading program, Imagine Your Stories, has started up this past week with our first activity being Story Stones. So, if you're interested in finding out what exactly those are, pop by the library and pick up your activity kit. Also, make sure to keep an eye out on our website and our Facebook for our summer reading schedule and all of the activity kits and summer programs that we'll be bringing to you in the future this summer. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's Stories Time. We're going to be reading another Magic Treehouse series. However, this one is going to be quite a bit in the future. We're going to be looking at one of the Merlin missions instead of one of the Morgan Le Fay adventures that we've been dealing with prior to. Let's just go over a little bit of backstory before we jump right into it. Dear reader, Summer of the Sea Serpent is the third book in a special group of Magic Treehouse books called the Merlin Missions. In these books, it is Merlin the Magician who sends Jack and Annie on their treehouse adventures, often to mythical and legendary lands. In the first Merlin mission, Christmas in Camelot, Jack and Annie journeyed into a world of magic and fantasy to find a secret cauldron that held the water of memory and imagination. In the second Merlin mission, Haunted Castle on Hallows Eve, they traveled to a mysterious castle. With their friend Teddy, they saved the future of Camelot by finding the stolen Diamond of Destiny. Now, 8 months later, on the first day of summer, Jack and Annie are about to go on a lonely seacoast in a fantasy land. They invite you to join them on their adventure. But beware, before night falls, incredibly strange things will happen. So, let's get into it. This is Summer of the Sea Serpent by Mary Pope Osborne. Chapter 1, Summer Solstice. Jack was sitting on the porch reading the newspaper. It was a warm summer day, but the porch was shady and cool. Annie poked her head out of the screen door. "Hey, Mom says she'll drive us to the lake this afternoon," she said. Jack didn't raise his eyes from the weather page. "Did you know today is the summer solstice?" he said. "What's that?" asked Annie. "It's the official first day of summer," said Jack. "There's more daylight today than on any other day of the year." "Cool," said Annie. "Starting tomorrow, the days will get shorter and shorter," said Jack. A loud screech came from overhead. "Look," said Annie, "a seagull." Jack looked up. A large white gull was circling in the bright noon sky. "What's he doing here?" asked Jack. "The ocean's 2 hours away." The gull swooped down and screeched again. "Maybe he's a messenger from Morgan or Merlin," said Annie. "Maybe one of them sent him to tell us the treehouse is finally back." Jack's heart began to pound. He put the newspaper down. "You think so?" he asked. Jack and Annie hadn't seen the magic treehouse since their last Merlin mission to a haunted castle last Halloween. Jack had begun to worry that the treehouse might never come back. "Look, he's flying towards the woods," said Annie. Jack jumped up. "Okay," he said, "let's go." "We'll be back soon, Mom," Annie called. Then she and Jack dashed across the yard. They ran down their street and into the Frog Creek woods. The shady woods were dappled with sunlight. The air smelled fresh and clean. Jack and Annie hurried past the leafy trees until they came to the tallest oak. High in the oak branches, the magic treehouse was waiting for them. "Wow," said Jack and Annie together. The treehouse looked exactly the same as when they'd last seen it. Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack followed. When they climbed inside the treehouse, no one was there. "Look, our royal invitation is here," said Annie. She picked up the card that had taken them to Camelot on Christmas Eve. "And our leaf from Merlin is still here," said Jack. He picked up the yellow autumn leaf that had sent them on their Halloween mission. "This is new," said Annie. She picked up a pale blue seashell. The shell was shaped like a small fan. There was writing on it. "Hey, this looks like Merlin's handwriting," said Annie. "We must be going on another mission for Merlin." She read aloud the message from the magician. To Jack and Annie of Frog Creek. On this summer solstice, journey to a land lost in mist, to a time even before Camelot. Follow my rhyme to complete your mission. Signed, M. Annie looked up. "What rhyme?" she said. "Let me see." Jack took the shell from her and turned it over. On the other side was a poem. Jack read the poem aloud. Before night falls on this long summer day, a shining sword must find its way into your hands and out of the gloom, or Camelot's king shall meet his doom. To begin your quest for the Sword of Light, call for the help of the Water Knight. Then pass through the cave of the Spider Queen. "Spider Queen?" Annie interrupted. She frowned. Spiders were about the only thing she was afraid of. "Don't think about it now," said Jack. "Let's keep going." He read on. "Pass through the cave of the Spider Queen, then swim with a selkie clothed in green. Enter the cove of the stormy coast, then dive 'neath the cloak of the old gray ghost." Jack stopped reading. "Old gray ghost," he said. "Don't think about it now," said Annie. "Keep going." Jack read more. "Answer a question with love, not fear. With rhyme and sword, your home is near." Both Jack and Annie were silent for a moment. "That's a lot to do before nightfall," Jack finally said. "Yeah," said Annie, "and I'm a little worried about the spider part." "And the ghost part," said Jack. "Hey," said Annie, "if we're going on another Merlin mission, I'll bet Teddy will come with us. He can help us get right through the scary parts." "Right," said Jack. Just hearing Teddy's name made him feel braver. "So," said Annie, "onward?" Onward was Teddy's favorite word. "Onward," said Jack. He pointed to the handwriting on the pale blue shell. "I wish we could go to a time before Camelot." The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Well, thanks for starting up this section of the adventure with Jack and Annie. I think we got some really interesting things to consider. They gotta find a sword of light, and they gotta be looking for the help of a water knight. Although, to do so, it looks like our two young adventurers are going to have to face some of their fears. Annie is going to have to pass through the cave of the Spider Queen, and it looks like she's not the biggest fan of spiders. Jack is going to have to dive beneath the cloak of an old gray ghost. Interesting. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I know Jack isn't exactly the biggest fan of ghosts. Let's see if with the new help of their friend Teddy, who we've yet to meet yet, if they can successfully solve their rhyme, save Camelot, and make it back to the treehouse. Before we go, I also wanted to let you know, just a quick reminder, to check out our summer reading activities and to check out our summer reading schedule. We should have a lot of neat things for you, and we hope that you'll enjoy it just as much as we do. All right, we hope to see you next week, where we'll be reading Summer of the Sea Serpent, chapter 2 and 3 by Mary Pope Osborne. I hope you enjoy your week. Take care, and I'll see you then.